Open up your MTT and we're going to do a final exam review number 4. The first thing that we're going to do is use our n equation to convert a repeating decimal into a fraction. The repeating decimal that we're going to use is going to be 0.8. So we're going to start out our equation by making n equal to the repeating decimal. Because there's 2 digits that are repeating, we're going to multiply n by 100. And that's going to move our decimal 2 places. Now what we want to do is we want to get rid of all of the repeating part of our number. So we're going to subtract 1n, which subtracts off all of the repeating part of the number. With the repeating part gone, we now have 18 left, and on the left side we have 99n. What math operation is this? It's multiplication. How do we solve it? We do division, so we're going to divide by 99. So n is going to equal 2 11ths. Alright, now let's do our products. For product, that means multiplication, so we're going to need a rainbow. Negative 4x times x is negative 4x squared. And negative 4x times 2 is negative 8x. We have an or because we have an addition sign and a negative sign. So it's negative 4x squared minus 8x. Again, we're going to do rainbow. So we're going to add a line, change the sign. We're going to rainbow. This is going to be 6x squared. Remember that there is a 1 for that exponent and a 1 for the exponent on the other x. When we multiply, we add our exponents. Now we're going to multiply and we're going to get plus negative 18. Okay? Because we have, we're adding a negative, it's going to be an or. So it's going to be 6x squared minus 18. Interchange means to switch. So we're going to take an ordered pair in quadrant 4, which is going to be down in this area. First of all, let's review what the signs are for each quadrant. In quadrant 1, the signs for the coordinates are going to both be positive. In quadrant 2, our x is going to be negative, but our y is going to be positive. In quadrant 3, both coordinates are going to be negative. And in quadrant 4, our x is going to be positive, and our y is going to be negative. So if we're going to take a point in quadrant 4, let's say we take point 4, negative 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to switch them around. So now it's going to be negative 2, 4. And we have to decide what quadrant that would be in. So negative 2 is going to be 2 to the left, and then up 4, which is going to put it into quadrant 2. Alright, now we are looking for a quadrant or point that's in quadrant 2. So let's pick a point, let's say 3, negative 4. So negative 4, 3, excuse me, negative 4, 3. We're going to go ahead and switch the coordinates around. That's going to be 3, negative 4. And to go 3 and then negative 4 puts us back into quadrant 4. Scale factor means we need to set up a fraction and then ask if we can make the labels match. So we have 4 feet, but we don't have enough feet to trade in for an even number of yards. So we're going to go ahead and multiply the yards by 3 because there's 3 feet in a yard. So now I have 4 feet over 18 feet. Because the labels match, I can reduce. 2 goes into 4 2 times, and 2 goes into 18 9 times. Now here I have 3 feet, so that is the same as 1 yard. So I can go ahead and change it to a yard. The 9 stays the same. Because the labels are the same, we can simply look at the fraction and see if we need to reduce it. We don't, so it's 1/9. In this case, when we're trying to figure out which equation goes with the function table, the easiest thing to do is pick an ordered pair. So I'm going to pick ordered pair 4, 1. So I'm going to put 1 in for the y, and I'm going to put in the 4 for the x, and we're going to see if this works. So 1 is equal to half of 4, which is 2, plus 2. So 1 is equal to 4. So that doesn't work. So now let's try it in the second equation. We're going to put 1 is equal to negative 1/2 times 4 plus 3. So 1 is equal to negative 2 plus 3. 1 is equal to 1. So that means b is the function that goes with the function table. To find the area of a trapezoid, we're going to fill in the information that we know. We're given base 1 as 12, and we're given base 2 as 16, and our height is 6. So it's going to be a is equal to 0.5 times 12 plus 16 times 6. A is equal to, now we're going to need to do PEMDAS, so we're going to go ahead and add our parentheses, times 6. A is going to be equal to half times 168. When I multiply 28 times 6, I get 168. And half of 168 is going to be 84. So the area is going to be 84 inches squared. To find the mean, median, mode, we're going to take a look at the numbers that were given. To find the mean, we add all the numbers together, which is going to give us 14. And then we divide by the number of numbers in our data, and that's going to give us 3.5. To find our median, we put our numbers in order from least to greatest, and then we take our two middle numbers, add them together, and divide by 2. So our median is going to be 3. We needed to do that because we had an even number of numbers of data in our set. The mode is the number that appears most often in the list. There is no mode because all of the data points appear only once in the list. And to find the range, we're going to take 7 minus 1, which is going to be 6. I want to go over the volume problem on number 48 just to make sure that you have it. For the volume problem for number 48 on your final exam review, you have two figures. You have a triangular prism and you have a rectangular prism. So we're going to write the volume formulas for both of those prisms. Once we have that down, now we need to start finding our parts to fill in. Remember that for the base and the height inside the parentheses, we need to use the two sides that are touching the right angle. So the base is 10 and the height is 3, so we've plugged that in. And then the height of the prism itself is 12. Then when we look at the length and width for the rectangular prism, the height, which is pointing to heaven, is 8. And then the longest side is going to be your length, and the shortest side is going to be your width. Plug in those numbers. We're going to multiply 0.5 times 10 times 3 times 12 and get 180. And then we're going to multiply 12 times 10 times 8 and get 960. Add them together and we have our volume. Let's take a look at the surface area on your final exam review also. It is a combination of a cone and a cylinder. And so we're going to find the surface area of the cylinder using 2 pi RH plus 2 pi r squared. And then we also need to put our cone formula in there, pi RL plus pi r squared. Now remember, when we put the cone on top of the cylinder, we're not going to need to find the area of the two circles that are inside. So we're going to take this out of the formula because we don't need it. We're going to find our radius. That's from the center to the edge. Get that measurement. And then we're going to need the height of the cylinder, which is going to be 12. Remember that the L represents the lateral height. That's the leaning height on the cone. This actually would be just the height if we were needing the height of the cone, which we don't need for this formula. So we plugged in 2 pi times 4, which is the radius, times 12, which is the height of the cylinder, plus pi times 4, which is the radius of the cone, and 10 is the lateral height of the cone, plus pi times 4 squared, which is the radius. We get 96 pi plus 40 pi plus 16 pi. We add those together, 152 pi, or we plug into the calculator the pi button times 152 and round to the nearest tenth to get 477.5 feet squared. And that's the final exam review 4.